Hey guys, what's up? Welcome in and welcome back to my channel. Today in the lab, I'm going to be doing a very detailed makeup tutorial so that I can show you how to get a soft glam makeup look. Now, when I say it's not just your average like makeup tutorial, I'm going to show you the why behind using the foundation, using the concealers, how to bronze, the proper brushes. All of that is going to be discussed in this video. So if you are a beginner when it comes to makeup and you want to look put together, and everything just looks like you are a pro, then the video right here is for you. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up for more makeup in-depth type of videos. And if you want to see how I got this look and the proper steps to get it, then keep on watching. All right, so first and foremost, don't mind this, okay? I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening, but we're gonna ignore that. We're gonna get into that later. So the first thing you wanna do is make sure your face is clean. So my face is washed and I've already moisturized it. So now I'm gonna just jump into like the next parts of what you need to do to get your makeup looking bomb. So the first thing I'm gonna use is a primer. But a primer actually helps seal in everything and allows you to have a barrier on your skin so that some of the products that you're using are not seeping into your pores. So when that happens, sometimes this may happen. A pimple, a breakout, sometimes even a rash. So you want to be careful with that, especially when it comes to your skin. So I'm going to go in with the Hard Candy Hydrating Primer. This is the primer. I've talked about this before. It looks like this. So I'm just going to put this all over my skin. Now, a little bit about my skin. I have normal to dry skin. And when I say normal, it's normally normal throughout the whole year and dry during this time, like colder months and things like that. So I'm not going to put the primer up here because I am going to actually do my brows on camera today, just so I can show you guys what I typically do on my brows, so that the primer can then also dry down a little bit too. So going in with my favorite brow pencil, this is the Morphe brow pencil. This is their micro brow pencil and I have it in the shade Chocolate Mousse. But this is an affordable product as well. You can get it at Ulta, you can get it at a Morphe store, online, whichever is your preference. But what I typically do is brush my hairs up. And I'm not sure if I have an updated brow tutorial on my channel, but I just typically brush the hairs up and I just draw a line, not too hard, very light-handed, under the brow like that, and then also on the top. And then I just fill it in with the pencil. Not too dark, because the harder you press down on the pencil is how deep it'll get. So I don't want it to be too deep, but deep enough. Especially in the areas where it's sparse. So that's where you'll add more product when it comes to doing your brows. That's where you'll press down a little bit more and add more product. But once you get it to your desire, I take the brush and I brush that product throughout the entire brow just so that it's even. All right, so now that we fill the brows in, I'm gonna go ahead and clean them up. I'm gonna go in with the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Concealer. This is in the shade Medium Dark 120W. All the products that I'm using will be listed in the description box below. Now, this is totally up to you with your preference. I just put a little bit on the back of my hand and I take my angled brush. This is the angled brush that I'm using to carve out my brows, but you can use any type of brush. It can be a small brush like this one. It could be a smaller one like this. Totally up to you, or any like flat eyeshadow brush if you want. So I'm gonna go into the concealer, and not a lot, and just go under the brow. Just like that. Now, I used to go in my brows on the top, but I no longer do that unless my brows like completely need to be cleaned and I need to like really do that. But I'm just gonna take a concealer brush or any like fluffy brush just to blend out that concealer. But this is basically what I do with my brows, and I kind of like take the remaining product and just make sure my ends are sharp the way that I want them to be. Now that my face is primed, I'm going to be taking the L'Oreal Infallible foundation in the shade 505. I have it in 500 as well. They are different undertones, so sometimes I mix the two just because I have them on hand, and I purchased these right in the beginning of the pandemic and there was no option to return anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a few of these along my face. So when it comes to picking your foundation, listen, there are so many different things when it comes to picking your foundation. So a lot of people say you shouldn't, you definitely shouldn't match it on your neck area. That is a no-go for me. Some of us have a deeper neck tone. Some of us have a lighter neck tone. It is best to do your matching here on your top of your chest area. Hope you guys can see it, like right here. But me, because I've been doing makeup for a while now and I know what I'm looking for when it comes to foundations, I would stripe it right here on the side of my cheek. Now, the only thing with that, if you have dark hyperpigmentation like myself, where this is deeper than your actual face up here, it's kind of like, where do you want to match? So you definitely have to be mindful of that. Where exactly do you want to match? And what, you know, making sure that it matches going down your chest area. So that's something to think about when it comes to matching. Now, if you guys want me to do a separate video on how to match yourself in the with drugstore foundations or any foundation, then definitely comment down below. I'm gonna take 500 as well and just plop that here and on my nose. So just blending this in, and I'm using a sponge. So I know some people may like brushes. For me, a sponge typically goes on a little bit better for me and is quicker. Whereas a brush, okay, you have a nice brush, you can go ahead and blend out your foundation, but then you still go in with a sponge to blend it out and not have those harsh lines. But there are so many different brushes out there that you can use. A couple of brushes I would recommend is like a flat top kabuki type of brush, or maybe a stippling brush if you want to do like stippling motions. But for me, I love using a sponge because it's super quick and I don't have to worry about going in after. So if you're like, I'm getting makeup all on here. If you're like on the go like me and you just want to do a natural, quick makeup look but still look put together and look like you've actually, like, you know, really done something, then I would suggest a sponge. You want to make sure that your sponge is wet, but it's totally up to you. The point of me wetting the sponge is so that the product can move around the face a little bit more. Granted, the fact you may not get much coverage using a sponge because sponges will soak up, it's like a cloth. But use it to your own discretion when it comes to coverage and what you want to put on your face and how you want your makeup to look. It's definitely about the skincare aspect when it comes to your skin, because actually having oily skin and dry skin, all skin types need that moisture, need that hydration, and that is what the base of your foundation and your makeup looking flawless will come from. The base is your skincare regimen. I don't care what anyone says. Your skincare regimen matters when it comes to having a flawless makeup look. And so this is the foundation. And for concealer, I'm going to mix two concealers because I got this one too light. This is the L'Oreal Infallible concealer, and I have it in the shade 385 Amber. And I'm also going to mix it with the Colourpop Pretty Fresh concealer, as I already done before. But I'm going to go in with the Colourpop one first because it's not as bright. The undertone on this is warm. And when it comes to undertones, it can be a bit tricky, honestly. And I feel like it's trial and error because everyone's undertones could be different based on the brand that you use and what that brand is claiming that it is. But then as you get to know your skin, you will know what works for you and what doesn't work for you, because I have a few products that are warm undertone that look amazing, and then I think that that's my undertone and that's not it. Like, over the years I've realized that I have more of a neutral tone even throughout the summer and winter time. So your skin definitely gets a little bit lighter in the cooler months compared to the summertime. So keep that in mind as well. But I'm just mixing these two concealers. And I like using these concealers because they are pretty full coverage. This L'Oreal one is definitely full coverage. The Pretty Fresh one is a little more hydrating. So that's why I mix these two together. So a little bit of a trick when it comes to putting your concealer on, as you notice, I've only put it in these areas here. So these are the areas that I want to stand out, meaning I want it to be a highlight. Some people use the same tone of concealer for their foundation and their whole face just looks like one dimension. But we don't want that. We want to see the different dynamic dimensions of the face and the skin. So that's why these points here are the points I want you guys to see as far as being highlighted. Now, some people do contour. For my beginners out there, listen, when it comes to contouring, I stay away from it, and I'm not even a beginner anymore. The cream contouring can definitely take, you know, how can I say it? It can definitely take your makeup look to a whole nother level if you're not, you know, careful. And that's what it comes to makeup as a whole. A little bit goes a long way. Do a little bit first and then build your way up. So don't just go ham on putting products on your face. But me personally, I love to bronze. I don't necessarily do that cream contouring thing. I feel like I get the same result using a bronzer, and I'll show you guys that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend this out. Comment down below if you like using cream products as far as like bronzing and contouring over powdered products. Now, what is the difference between contouring and bronzing? So contouring will give you a shadow in your face, so it's going to bring back your bone structure, because when you put foundation on, it actually kind of flattens your face out. Not literally flatten it out, but you will look just like I said, one dimension. Whereas contouring will bring back the bone structure that you want in your face. Bronzing just adds warmth and depth to the skin. So, and I'm fine with just having that warmth in the skin as opposed to a strong bone structure. So that's why I don't really use a lot of contouring when it comes to my looks. And my looks are just, you know, basic. Call me basic, but I just like looking like myself and not like, you know, something else. So yeah, I just blend this concealer out. Now, another tip. When it comes to doing your makeup, you want to make sure you go in with whatever cream products you're going to be using first, and you want to set all those creams with powders. So the powder that I'm going to be using today are the e.l.f. powders. So I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder in the shade Light. So keep that in mind too when it comes to using like concealers. If you didn't get a light enough concealer, maybe go in with a lighter setting powder. I've also noticed that sometimes it's best to use a brush when it comes to using your powders as opposed to your wet sponge. Sometimes your wet sponge can pick up your powder and leave it like splotchy and like, you know, causing it not to look as smooth. So I'm gonna just take a fluffy brush. This is actually the Kat Von D brush. I'm just gonna use this side here to go into the powder, tap off the excess, and go ahead and set under my eye. And on top of my eye. Also brush away the excess, because you don't want powder to just sit there. Now, however, if you do go in with a sponge for your powder, you go into your powder and you get a lot, right? You want to make sure you press that excess off on your hand or tap it off, however, before going in to your face. And when you go into your face, you want to make sure that you're pressing that powder in until it kind of dissolves away. You don't want to just leave it there unless you like that baking mechanism. That's totally on you. I am not into the baking. I feel like once the face is set, then it's set, and there's no need for me to allow it to sit there. Sometimes baking can cause your face to look more mattifying than you think, because a lot of setting powders are for, you know, mattifying your look. So keep that in mind as well. So for the rest of my face, I'm gonna go on with the Halo Glow e.l.f. powder in the shade Medium. And Medium is more of a deeper tone. That's why I'm going in with this one all over my face, taking the same brush but using the angle side. Actually, let me go in with my face brush. So I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush like this to dust all over my face. All right, so bronzer is important because that's what I love to do. Bronzer and blush are my favorite. So for today, I'm going to be going in with the Makeup Revolution bronzer. I'm probably going to mix it with my Holy Grail Drugstore Wet n Wild bronzer as well, but this one's relatively new in my collection, and I actually like how it comes out. It actually gives me super deep. That's the point of bronzers, to give that warmth to the skin and things like that. So I have two different bronzer brushes. This one is my Real Techniques fluffy brush, and the handle is broken, but I will not get rid of this brush. It's my favorite. And see how it like is super fluffy and things like that. And then this one is a Morphe one. I use this for a bronzer, but I think they said it was a face brush, but I use it for a bronzer, but it's super fluffy. And you'll see why I need to go in with the fluffy brush. So going into the bronzer, I'm just gonna, for this one, this bronzer is super pigmented, so I'm just gonna take a little bit, literally tap off the excess, and first I'm gonna place it there. So I'm just gonna stamp it right on the cheekbone right there. Just gonna stamp it. And then I'm gonna take my brush and brush upward. Because like I said, bronzing, I wanna give the illusion that I contour, but I didn't really contour. So I'm just gonna brush upward. You don't wanna do this because it kind of drags your face. It kind of looks muddy, especially if you're using a deeper bronzer. But I'm just doing circular motions, but upward while I'm doing the circular motions. I'm then gonna do the same, not dipping in the product because this bronzer is serious. Do the same going on my forehead on down. So when you're thinking of this, you're thinking of a C, but you can also bronze down here and down your neck part too. So then you think of the number 3 as your bronzing. And I think I told you guys this before, when it comes to bronzing, you can think of that as well. So I'm gonna do the other side. Stamp that in there. This side I put too much. Stamp that on the skin. And do the same here. Now, the next step is blush. You can totally skip this part if you're not a blush girl. Comment down below if you love blush. I love blush. Or let me know if you don't like blush. But I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Cosmetics Always Blush. This one is the Always Rosy. Oh, Always Spicy. This one's the Always Spicy. And this one's Always Rosy. I think today I'm gonna go in with the Always Rosy. So when it comes to blush, you can kind of go with any kind of brush that you like. It can be a simple fluffy one like this, or something that's a little more tapered and then fluffy at the top. But this is my go-to blush brush. So I'm gonna go into the product, tap it off, and just pat that on the skin first. So I typically pat my products because sometimes I go too ham with my products, and I start from back here and then end up on my cheek. I start from the back and then pat up here. If you go, sometimes going straight right here on your cheeks, you will get a super rosy cheek, and all the product will be there. So like I said, a little goes a long way. Build your product up. Build your product up. So let's go into eyes, and we'll come back to the highlighter and things like that. So for eyes, I'm gonna keep it simple. So I'm gonna go into this e.l.f. palette. This is the Bite Size eyeshadow in Very Bad, and it's a simple, everyday type of palette. So the first shade I'm gonna take is this one here, and I'm gonna place that all over the lid. I'm gonna be taking this pointed crease eyeshadow brush by Profusion, and this is the ES3 brush. Is that ES3? Sorry, ES3 brush, and it looks like this, like a tapered blending brush. And because I'm not like doing anything precise, I'm just gonna be going in with this light shade here and placing that all over the lid. I actually like these Profusion brushes. They're super long, so you have a lot of space and hand room. I'm gonna go in with a more tapered type of detail blending brush. This is a Sigma E27 tapered and blending brush. So I'm just gonna tap my brush in there, and what I'm gonna do is place that shade on the outer corner. Now when it comes to placing your shades, you don't wanna go in and immediately start, blending, because you want the pigment to, pop up. So I'm just placing that, tapping it on the outer corner. Tap, 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 tap. So for the inner corner, for the inner part of the lid, I'm just gonna go in with this shade here. Just keep it simple, and I'm actually gonna take my hand. So a lot of times, like metallic shades, they actually come out better with your finger, and you don't have to worry about keep trying to build it up with your brush. So I'm just gonna take my finger and just pat that on the eye. Now, if you have long fingernails, this may not work. You may have to just go ahead and use a brush. It may just be a little bit difficult to really get in there, but I'm just filling up the remaining of the lid space, patting that color into the eye like that. Now, let's say you wanted to brighten up this look a little bit more. So right in the middle, so you don't have a straight line to determine that these are two separate colors, you can take another shade and go down the middle. So I'm just gonna do that with this shade here and take my index finger and place that in the center of the eye just to brighten up the eye a little bit more. See what that's done? Just straight down and blending it into those two colors. So it gives the illusion that you have, you know, it's blended properly and it's brighter. So I'm just sticking right there in the middle. Now, to tie this look together, you can definitely go in with lashes, and I'm gonna go in with some lashes. I'm gonna actually go in with some of my favorite. These are the Cala 3D Faux Mink lashes in the style Noir, and I got them in a large pack like this. I'm gonna pop these on and come back and we'll finish the face. All right, so lashes are on, and now we're gonna go into the bottom lash line. So the bottom lash line is totally up to you. You don't have to do this part, but to me, it kind of ties in the whole look and just make it look like your whole eye is complete. So a brush that you could use for that would be like a small brush like this, similar to what you could use for your brow, or maybe something more straight like this. And I'm gonna go in with something like this. If you want to brighten it up a bit, which I am going to do, you can place something in the inner corner, and I'm going to be going in with the Wet n Wild highlighting powder. This is in the shade Precious Petals. I typically go in with brushes like this, so something very small that you just want to get right in that corner. So I'm going to go in with this. And before I typically put my highlighter on the face part, I typically like to spray my face. So I have two setting sprays here. This is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh setting spray and my e.l.f. Dewy setting mist. So I'm going to mix the two, and then I take the sponge and I press it all into the skin. I'm going to mix my Wet n Wild highlighter and my Colourpop loose highlighter. I love a loose highlighter because for some reason they look more melted into the skin than your powdered press ones. And for highlighter, you can use a stippling brush like this. This is the e.l.f. one, and then also you can use a tapered fluffy brush. This is a BH Cosmetics, so totally up to you and what you're going for. I'm going for the tapered one because I want more product. I love highlight, but the stippling brush will just bring the product on a little bit lighter. But you want to be light-handed with all of this anyway. And I just dust it on my nose like that, tap off the excess, and I place it right up here. I try not to put too much because I have a little, you know, distraction right there. But I place it right here. And I drag it down to the apple of my cheek as well, but you see how that just goes on so nicely and effortlessly. And I just always do my nose, whatever's left over, because I'm pulling from this cap. So for lips, I'm gonna go in with my Holy Grail nude lipstick just to keep it simple. I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips with this NYX lip liner, and this is in the shade Los Angeles. It's like a pinky mauve shade. Liner is totally up to you as well, but when it comes to liners, if you're using a nude lipstick, it's best to go in with something that is deeper so that you can have the dimension on your lips. Of course, follow your lips so that you can, you know, have a natural looking lip. Some people like to overdraw their lips. That's not my thing, but if you are like that, then definitely do your thing. I'm gonna go in with the liquid lipstick by Maybelline. This is in the Chai Genius. Having that liner just gives dimension as opposed to just putting a straight up, you know, nude on your lips. And to just add a little gloss to this, I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Mauve Glitz lip gloss. I'm almost done with this gloss. It's a perfect like mauve-y gloss, and I'm just gonna add it in the center just to get a little shine. And that is it, you guys. I hope you guys were able to follow along, and I hope that this was very helpful on doing like a natural, everyday but glam, soft glam type of makeup look. So let me know down below your thoughts. I know this is very detailed. A lot of you have been asking me, a lot of friends been asking me. So here it is, very detailed soft glam makeup tutorial. And yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps me out. And until next time, love, peace, and beauty. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.